everyone. Good afternoon, good evening, and good morning to some people. And greetings and welcome to the 66th session of the online Optom Learning Series, or OOLS. Do let me introduce to you our speaker for today. So today we have an optometrist, Mr. Obi. I hope it's fine if I call you Mr. Obi.
Yes.
He's an Yes, that's very kind of you. You make my life easy when it comes to name pronunciation, and you're very kind. So Mr. Obi is an award-winning optometrist, young dynamic personality within the eye care industry. He has championed and pioneered various innovative products and solutions that have significantly influenced the way how optometrist runs the business. He is the managing director of Vision Sturt and also the co-founder of iAfrica Media, which is, I think, the optometrist Facebook group and also the group of optometrists in Africa, where he heads with his team. He has also been the author to not only one, but I guess 4 books, author as well as a co-author for these books. And I think these books focus basically on the business aspect and patient's requirements and how to understand the patients and all that. So today he's going to talk to us about patient's requirement and expectations, and he's going to share his views on how we should deal with patients and how we should be able to meet their expectations as primary eye care practitioners. So welcome, Obi, to our platform, and I'll leave the screen time to you now.
Thank you very much, Fabian. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning to everyone. It is an absolute honor and a pleasure to be connected with you all on this platform. Thank you very, very much to OOLS for the invite. I'm so privileged and I'm looking forward to the webinar today. And as you can see on the presentation headline here, I say that make this webinar count by implementing the strategies in your practice. The reason why I say that, even if you pick up one thing from this presentation today, go within this week and implement it. Don't just let it be another webinar that you attended just to get points or your certificate. If there's something that I share with you or that I say that you find valuable and useful that you can implement within your environment, please do so. And yeah, I'm going to make this session as practical as I possibly can. So I'm excited. And yeah, let's buckle up and enjoy this. With patient requirements and expectations. And so throughout the presentation, you will get to discover what we actually mean by that. All right. So let me just introduce myself quickly here. So I just played a short 12-second video clip to introduce myself. In that 12-second video clip, you got to see that I am a speaker, I am a consultant, and I'm an author. Within 12 seconds, I got to capture that which I do in a very short space of time. Now, the first question that I would have for you is that there are lots of optometry practices or eye care facilities where you are located. The first question that you have to think about is, what makes your business or your practice stand out such that patients that need to have their eyes examined or tested can connect with you immediately? In the midst of there being multiple practices around you or in your area, what are you doing that makes you stand out as a business or as an optometrist within your area? So that's one thing that I want you to just start thinking about as you go through this presentation. The topics that we will be discussing today are as follows. 1, the current patient trends that are existing. 2, the patient choice versus your own attractive appeal within your business. Number 3, how to define your unique value proposition. Number 4, Should you be changing strategies from what you have been doing thus far versus what you should be doing going forward? Number 5, we're going to go into detail looking at what goals do patients have when they go to an optometry practice. And lastly, how do you operate on a higher level of excellence than ever before? And so let's get continuing. As Fakhruddin mentioned, we have written various books for the eye care industry. This is our latest book, The Marketing Guide for the Eye Care Industry. And for those who are interested in getting copies, I can send you the book summary via email so that you can have more detail in terms of what the book is all about, as well as all our other books. I can send you the book summary and you can go through the book summary. And if you find that the content that we are sharing in the book summary is something that you will find useful and valuable within your practices, then you would please go ahead and make your copy. So I'll share the details at the end as well. And so, yeah, in preparation for this particular presentation, we did a bit of research, not only in South Africa, but in different markets. And the question that we are asking was, what influences patients to go and have their eyes examined at various optometric practices? And we looked at 5 things. We looked at direct referrals, when they search you online, social media, general walk-in, meaning that someone was in your area, they were walking past your practice and they realized that, wait a minute, let me go in and inquire about getting my eyes tested. And then influencer marketing. And as you can see, out of every 10 people that we were asking, or the results from 10 people that optometric practices were answering, direct referrals had the biggest impact as to why someone will come to your practice for the very first time. In our books, we share the following. We say eye care or optometry has 3 components to it. It's got an academic component, it's got a clinical component, and of course, it's got the business component. Now, in all eye care practices, all 3 components of eye care need to work efficiently and cohesively with one another in order for a particular optometric practice to experience massive success and exponential growth sales. So if there is an academic or educational side, a clinical or a health side, and a business or a sales side, that means that the people that are coming to our practices can not only be seen as patients, we refer to them as consumers. Why? Within consumers, you will have what we call patients. Patients will be those people that are coming to your practice for the very first time, needing visual related solutions or products because they've got a problem with their eyes. The customer is that person who comes to your practice for the second time, meaning that they are a follow-up visitor because they've had their eyes examined at one stage in their life before. Whereas the client is that person who keeps coming back to your practice year after year for all the eye care related needs. So if that is the case, it means you're going to be dealing with first-time visitors, follow-up visitors within your practice on a day-to-day basis. If direct referrals are the highest number of reasons why people come to an optometry practice, the question that I have for you is that, are you aware that your current patients, when they get services from you and are happy or are satisfied with the services that they've gotten from you, when they're referring their colleagues, their friends, their family to your practice, what are they saying about your business? Why are they referring people to your practice? Do you even ask them for them to do referrals for you? And what is it that you want them to be saying about your practice when they are referring it to other people? So the second question that I want you to just start thinking about is, currently, all the first-time visitors that are coming to my practice, what am I doing to make sure that they get a worthwhile experience, they get a memorable experience, they get the best service that they have ever had within the eye care environment, so that when they leave there, they can go back and tell their friends, their family, and their colleagues about the great service that they receive from your practice. Because your business or your practice is going to grow by direct referrals, people talking about your business to others. So remember the screen, because we're going to come back to it at a later stage. All right, so let's get into the first topic, current patient trends. And what we refer to here is, you've got 6 images that you are looking at the current moment. And I will start going through the images from the top left of the screen all the way to the bottom. The first trend that we will mention, this is the lady with the glasses pointing to the caption on the side. We say here, patients or consumers no longer care about the products that you sell if those products don't have a direct meaning to something that is highly important to them. So look at the message here. Grateful for my specs. I can't leave home without my glasses. And so I make sure that I get more than one pair, and I'm always looking fabulous wherever I go. When I see a lot of people will have testimonies on their websites, and the testimonies that they put on their websites, they all look the same. If you go to 10 optometric practices online to look at the testimonies that patients are sharing with the practice, people share the same type of testimonies. But look at the example that I've given you here. It is something specific that has got a direct meaning to this particular individual. So that's the first trend. Patients or consumers want products or services that have a direct meaning to what they feel is important. Number 2, it's all about quality and value. We say here, consumers or patients, they want quality products at the time that they want it and in the manner in which they want it. And most importantly, at the price they personally feel it is affordable for them to pay for it. So before we start talking about the benefits of a product, we need to ensure that we firstly understand what do the patients feel is valuable to them when it comes to their visual environment or their visual experience. So that when we are communicating the products that we are selling, we are communicating the products in relation to the value that they're going to add in that person's life or in that person's visual environment. So when we are communicating with different patients, we start off by communicating value. Value, always remember that you have to communicate value. The next one here, where it says, guess what? I'm reading now. Look at the caption. It says, I hated reading. Then I got a pair of spectacles. Now I absolutely love reading. What is that all about? Well, consumer trend number 3 is that optometric practices or brands need to take people on a journey of self-discovery and to a place that they have never been before. So when a person comes and you are doing the case history, for example, you have to probe that person in more detail to find out, besides them not being able to see when they're driving at night or they're sitting in front of a computer for long periods of time, get to the reason in terms of, because they are struggling, how do they experience that which they're communicating with you about? So probe them in more detail. Ask them that, okay, you say your vision is uncomfortable when you're sitting in front of a computer. Do you know that the reason for that could be as follows? And that becomes an opportunity for you to start introducing the best products to them, not the cheapest products, but the best available products in relation to the problem that they are having. So if when you're doing case history and someone already tells you that they've got a problem with something, that is an opportunity for you to go into more detail pertaining to the extent to which, if they don't have the right product, that problem is going to continue. And these are the options that they have available in terms of ensuring that they have got the product that goes hand to hand with the problem that they communicated to you about. Next, the image at the bottom here with the gentleman with the glasses. Look at the caption. We say here, thank you for choosing us. We value and appreciate your time. We are excited about giving you the best vision you have ever had. And what is that all about? Every patient or every consumer needs to be treated as a very important person, whether they're spending little money or a lot of money in the practice. Every single person that comes to your practice, we are living in the age of technology right now. So you have to use technology to your advantage. Even if someone has come to your practice for the last 10 years, or they're going to be coming to your practice for the very first time, after each and every single patient leaves, what we do with the practices that we work with is that we have created images like this. So when a person comes in, we take a picture of them with the glasses that they have selected. And then immediately we will use, let's say, for example, WhatsApp, and we will send every single patient a caption like this, where it will be that person's actual image on the image, actual image on the picture with a caption that says, thank you for choosing us. And we send that to every single patient that came for an eye examination on that particular day. If we saw 10 people on the day, all 10 people get an image like this. Why? It personalizes that interaction between the practice and the patient. So remember that a consumer trend or a patient trend is that they want to be treated like the most important person. They want to feel valued. So this is one way you are able then to start making them feel like they're valuable. And if, let's say, you work in a private practice, and when someone walks into your practice, one of the things that you can do about the decor or the interior design within your practice, you can have a big sign behind the counter that says, we are glad you are here. Or another example, thank you for letting us help you with your vision. Make statements like that within your decor in the practice, and that's going to capture the attention of the people that are coming into your practice, especially those that are coming in for the very first time. So remember that. Number 5, which is the lady holding her ear here. A very important consumer trend is that patients or consumers want you to listen to them. Listen to them to understand them. And then when they feel that you understand what they're going through, then it puts you in a position for you to communicate with them at their level. Once you communicate with them at their level, you give yourself an opportunity to establish trust between yourself and them. Once they trust you, it's easy for you then to sell them whatever it is that you want to sell them. It's becoming very difficult to sell people anything if they feel like they cannot trust you. So when you're communicating with patients, establish trust more than anything. That is your first and most primary role as an eye care provider, is that you have to prioritize building trust or establishing trust with that individual that you are talking to. Because once they trust you, whatever you recommend, whatever product you suggest to them, they will go with what you recommend. Here's the thing that you must always remember. Every patient always looks at the following. They look at what will they be gaining if they go with what you recommend versus what will they be losing if they don't go with it. And our responsibility is to demonstrate the difference between the two. And then the last image here, with the gentleman pointing outside, is that when you are communicating with consumers, remember the previous one here, we said you must listen to them, right? Now with this one, always make sure that you show the patient or the consumer how they see when they got to the practice versus what they are now going to see with the new pair of glasses. You have to constantly demonstrate the benefits, explain the features that the product has that you are recommending for them or that you have prescribed, and show them how they are going to benefit from that particular product that you have recommended. So you're not just explaining, you have to explain and demonstrate. That is very, very important, that with every single person, you demonstrate that which you are going to be experiencing, and you have to make sure that they understand that. So basically, these are the initial consumer trends that we wanted to cover with you guys, that we wanted you to fully understand that this is where consumers or patients are at the moment. Next, the patient choice versus your attractive appeal. Beyond, here's a statement that I want to leave with you guys. Beyond quality products and great service delivery, patients today or consumers want something far more than that. They want a worthwhile experience that is focused on the following components. Number one, value. And I made an example earlier on. I said, what will they be gaining if they go with what you prescribe versus what will they be losing if they don't? So the first thing is they want value. Number two, they want customization, meaning that how does the product, the service, or the solution that you are offering reflect what they feel is important to them? Number three, convenience. It has to be convenient. And number four, recognition. So those are the things that beyond great products and service delivery, the worthwhile experience that patients want is value, customization, convenience, and recognition. And so what is required from your business going forward? Firstly, you have to position your offering or your business as something that the patient really wants and can't go without. Think about that. Some people, for example, in the morning, they cannot go without a cup of coffee. It's like they start their day with a cup of coffee. If they don't have that cup of coffee, they have a bad day. They get frustrated. So what about your business or your product that you are selling makes people feel that, you know what, I cannot go without my pair of spectacles? Once you are able to establish that with every single consumer or patient that comes to your practice, and you show them the importance of this pair of spectacles, the value, how their life is going to change as a result of that pair of spectacles, it makes it easy then for you to demonstrate and to show them that they need multiple pairs of spectacles, because then your pair of spectacles that you have prescribed for them becomes a priority for them and no longer a by the way. So that's the first thing. You have to position your offering or your practice or your products as something that the patient really wants, needs, and cannot go without. Here's the thing that you must always remember. The patient always has multiple other offers on the table that they have to choose from. So you have to ensure that how you communicate your product, it stands out. You're not just communicating your product as a by the way thing. And it's very important that what your team says and what the optometrist is also saying to the patient or the customer or the client is the same thing. From the moment the person walks into the practice to the time that they leave, that entire experience needs to be something that you want to stand out. You want to be communicating with this patient in a manner in which no other person communicates with them like that, so that the desire that that patient will have for what you are offering or prescribing will increase. Next, avoid making noise when communicating with the patient. What do we mean by that? Whether it be on social media, whether it be your offering, if all that you are doing is examining patients' eyes and prescribing glasses, anyone can do that. Any practice can do that. What about your offering is making you stand out? What about your communication on social media, on your website, on YouTube, on the different platforms that you are doing that makes what you are doing stand out? Or are you just like everyone else? Do you see what another practice is doing and then you copy and paste it within your own practice and are hoping for patients to connect with that? It does not work like that. whatever we do, we communicate in order to connect. Once we connect, it's easier to sell patients that which we want them to buy. So don't make noise. Don't just copy what you see other brands doing and think that by simply applying it in your own business, patients will be able to buy from you. It doesn't work like that. And lastly, like I said earlier on, patients want a worthwhile experience now more than ever. Make that person feel welcomed, appreciated, valued, prioritized. And you need to train your staff in exactly how do they go about doing that. So that's one thing that you must start doing right now, is that train your team to be able to communicate better with the different patients or customers or clients that come to your practice, so that the worthwhile experience is what people are going to experience when they come to your practice. Next, Fakhruddin, I hope I'm not going too fast. Is my pace okay?
Yep, I think you're going wonderful.
Okay, thank you. I'll continue with the same pace. All right, next, it's how do you define your unique value proposition? There's a lot of optometric practices. We all prescribing spectacles. We all can do an eye examination. But what sets you apart is how you do it. That is the difference. How you do something makes the difference, or makes the impact to the consumer more than anything else. And I'll just go through a few examples here. The first one, patient information forms. So this is something that we have in the practices, right? Everyone comes and they complete the forms in the practices. Here's some questions that we suggest or recommend that you add onto your patient information forms, so that you can get as much information from the patient as you possibly can that will help you in the management of that patient. So questions here would be, where did you get your current pair of spectacles from? Were you happy with the overall experience and service that you got from the previous practice? Did the prescribed management solutions or spectacles address the visual concerns that you had? How many pairs of spectacles do you currently have that you are using? How did you hear about us? What can we do to improve our services or our service offering to you? So feedback is something that is very, very important. A lot of optometric practices on their patient information forms, they don't have a section where they are getting feedback from the patient. You want patients to give you feedback, especially people that have been coming to your practice for years. You want them to then, when they are completing any form of form, to give you some form of feedback in terms of the service offering that you are rendering. And like I said, the current pair of glasses, where did they get their glasses, the experience that they had. That gives you information that helps you to determine that, wait a minute, this person from the previous optometric practice, they got a bad experience, or they were not happy with the pair of glasses that they got, or whatever the reason, so that you are in a position to know how do you then exceed those expectations or those requirements that patients have. So if the more information you have about the experience that someone had, the better it will be for you then to exceed those expectations. If you know that, wait a minute, this person has 4 or 5 pairs of spectacles that they are currently using, but only 2 of those pairs have got the necessary anti-reflective coating or the necessary tints, and they needs require for all pairs of spectacles to have the necessary coatings. You are then in a position to know that, wait a minute, why is it that only 2 pairs of spectacles out of the 4 that this person is using has the coating? What about the other 2? So you are able to get as much information from that individual as you possibly can. So this is just extra information that you need to add onto your patient information form. And by the way, you guys can do this online, especially now with the advent of COVID-19. People are making their appointments and they're completing their forms before they come to the practice. So even on your e-commerce website that you are having for your practice, you are able to develop a patient information form online where people are able to complete this information beforehand, so that when they come to the practice, you already have the information readily available. And what we suggest or recommend to practices is that have a category placement with or category placement card within your patient files. What do we mean by that? You need to always on your files, whether you're looking at a physical file or on your computer, be in a position to know that was this person a first-time visitor or a follow-up visitor. And when that person is a first-time visitor, you have to have a certain protocol that you are following to ensure that this person keeps coming back to your practice for all their eye care needs. If this person is the second time that they're coming, you need to make sure that this person is converted now from just being that person who comes here for the second time, for them knowing that going forward, all my eye care related needs are going to be taken care of by this practice. And if this person has been coming to your practice year after year, on the card, you then have to make sure that this person has given you the necessary feedback pertaining to services that you are able to introduce or improve on within your practice. I'll go a bit quicker on this one here. The next will be lifestyle and leisure. And we said here, if people are only coming for visual related needs, don't just offer basic products and services. Make sure that whatever visual problems that a person tells you about, you are offering the best possible management option that is available to them. You have to communicate the very best first, not the most basic. Don't start with basic products. Start with the very best product and work your way down. If someone has a serious problem with their vision that is affecting their lifestyle or leisure, make sure that you are communicating all the necessary products that that person will need to ensure that their vision, whether it be for leisure or lifestyle, is taken care of. So if this person, in optometry, what I've noticed is that we've got this problem whereby it's easy for us to sell multiple pairs of spectacles because we will have this buy one, get one free. But it's as if we don't realize that people can buy sunglasses every 6 months. People can buy sunglasses every 3 months because they might change their prescription every 2 years. But that does not mean that they're not buying the prescription sunglasses or their prescription pair of spectacles every 3 months or every 6 months. If people can buy clothes on a regular basis, if people can go shopping on a regular basis, why can't they buy spectacles on a regular basis? Your argument would then be insurance will not pay for it, or they don't have the money. Patients have money. They're just not spending it in eye care practices. So we need to make sure that when we are communicating value, quality, in relation to how that person's life is going to change as a result of that pair of spectacles and that pair of sunglasses or those contact lenses. And if they are convinced about the value and the benefits that we are speaking about, then surely they are convinced that they need more than one pair. And if they are convinced that they need more than one pair, they will also be convinced that they don't have to be waiting for 2 years to change their pair of spectacles. They can change their pair of spectacles whenever they want to. They can have multiple pairs of spectacles within the 2-year period. The prescription might not change, but the frames will change. The styles, the designs will change. And so when you're talking about your patients, break them up into visual, problem solving, communicate that or make sure that they understand the visual needs and how the product that you are recommending is going to function within the different visual needs that they have. And don't be afraid of communicating high performance with people. A lot of people don't understand that you might be sitting in front of a computer 8-10 hours and you need a particular pair of spectacles, right? But driving is just as important as sitting in front of a computer for 10 hours. Watching TV is just as important as all the other tasks. Our eyes are the most important thing. So let's make sure that our patients understand that their vision needs to be functioning at optimum performance all the time. And always remember this, it's always important for you to communicate or understand what's important to our patient, so that the products and solutions and the services that you are rendering are in line with what the person feels is important to them. Because if you don't understand what's important to them, you will struggle then to convince them that that which you are recommending, they need it. Otherwise, they won't go with what you are recommending. And same will apply with working environment. You always have to communicate usage and functionality of the product that you are recommending in relation to the visual environment. And so whenever you are giving examples to patients, make practical examples in terms of, like I told you earlier on with regards to clothes, that why do they have multiple pairs of jeans? Why do they have multiple shoes? Why do they have multiples of everything but not have multiples of a pair of spectacles? Are shoes more important than how they see? So when you are giving examples, trying to convince a person of what they need, make sure that you are communicating to them in relation to what they will be experiencing with their new pair of spectacles that has got all the upgrades on their lenses, all the latest on their lenses, and how they're going to experience their visual environment. And we say here the long-term implications. Basically, what we mean by here is that elaborate the long-term implications or complications of them not going with that which you are recommending them to go with. And so, and the last one here, visual challenges or case history. We say here, when a person comes to your practice for the very first time, introduce high quality products from the onset when you start communicating with them, not at the end. Earlier on, I mentioned trust. Your job or your number one priority is to establish trust as quickly as you possibly can. This is so critical because trust, you do so by constantly educating the consumer in depth throughout the examination procedures that you are doing. So with every single activity that you are doing while they're sitting in the examination room, your job is to educate them, and educate them. Provide them with information that they did not have. And you will see on the facial expression that this person is starting to trust you. Ask them questions. When you're educating someone, you have to constantly be asking them questions. How is your experience with this? How is this? What do you do when you're doing this? The two-way dialogue or interaction makes it easy for them to open up more. And when they open up more, you need to make sure that you win them over. And talk value. I will keep referring to value because value is what will set your business apart from all other businesses. So those are the 4 areas that I will encourage you as an entire team to start looking at. Next, changing strategies. I'll go quickly here. Where do we need to be right now and how do we get there? First, personalize the patient experience. That's the first thing that you need to do. Don't treat people as just numbers. Personalize the experience that every single patient is going to get. Next, connect with consumers. Your objective is to establish a strong trust relationship with the consumer or the patient above everything else. And you do this by not only delivering on what you promise, but by exceeding their expectations. Why do I keep mentioning trust? It's because trust leads to loyalty. When people are loyal to your business, they will keep coming back to your business to spend their hard-earned money in your practice. Next, everyone in the practice needs to know their products, the pricing, and most importantly, how the patient or the consumer is going to experience the product when they are using it. So product knowledge is not the responsibility of the dispenser, the optician, or the optometrist. Everyone in the practice needs to have a detailed understanding of the product in relation to how the patient is going to use that particular product, and that is the pair of spectacles or contact lenses. Next, always ask for feedback from every single person. How would you, if you're not asking for feedback, how would you know that that which you are doing is actually the right thing? Like even Fakhruddin earlier on said that there will be a questionnaire at the end whereby you give feedback in terms of for these webinars so that they can improve on the services of these webinars, because this is the 66th webinar. If he's not, or him and the team, if they're not asking for feedback, how would they know when, or if they were used to having webinars for 200 people, now all of a sudden only 10 people are joining in on the webinars, and that number drops. The only way for them to know what is changing is the feedback that they're getting. Same applies with you in practice. If you 5 years ago were seeing 200 patients a month, 4 years ago you were seeing 180, 3 years ago you were seeing 140, 2 years ago you were seeing 100, and now this year you're going to end up making the mistake of thinking that we are seeing less numbers because of COVID-19, not realizing that 4 years ago, when there was no COVID-19, your numbers were dropping. But because you are not asking for feedback, you are not even aware that patients stopped coming to your practice because of the service that they were getting from your practice was not good enough, or something else, or your team has a terrible attitude and patients are not coming back to your practice because they're just sick and tired of the attitude from your team. So feedback helps you plan better, helps you make better decisions pertaining to your business so that you can continue offering something that is of value to the different people that need your services. Next, always send a thank you for visiting us to every single person. I'm telling you, this is the way forward. I've seen in practices in South Africa that we started introducing this to them. Those that are doing it have seen a massive change in how the patients engage with their brands. So I would love to hear feedback from you a few months from now after you've been doing this in terms of how has it impacted your business as a result of this. Next, get online urgently. In you getting online, you have to distinguish yourself and your offering in terms of what makes my brand different or my offering different from all other brands within my area. And get the buy-in of your team. This is very, very important, because if you are always educating yourself, upskilling yourself, training yourself, doing all these webinars and online courses, what about your team? What about your team? When are they getting regular training? Some of you have been joining these webinars for the 66th time, right? The question that I have for you is that, is your team doing some form of training at the same pace that you are, if not more? Because if you are just training yourself, but you're not training your team, they're lagging behind. If you are doing all these things that you're going to be introducing into the practice, but you are not ensuring that they are fully behind you, you are wasting your time. The team is the most valuable resource in the practice. So make sure that you get the buy-in of the team before anything else. And lastly, stop making excuses. That's what I said earlier on. Stop making excuses. Excuses hold you back. So that's basically what you need to understand in terms of where do we need to be right now and how do we get there. Fakhruddin, this is the section where we can run the polls. It will be interesting to get feedback from everyone, but the 3 polls that we're going to run, we can run them one after another, Fakhruddin. And yeah, you can go ahead and share the polls. But the first one is, for every 10 people you assist within the practice that you're working with, how many of them go with what you recommend? So let's just do the first poll quickly. For every 10 people you assist, how many of them go with what you recommend? So you can, once the first one is done, you can do the second one. For every 10 people you assist, how many of them do you discuss product upgrades with them? Meaning that someone has been coming to your practice for the last 10 years or 5 years, and they're on a particular anti-reflective coating. Do you just keep on prescribing the very same thing, or do you just discuss product upgrades with them? So that's basically the second one. For every 10 people you assist, how many of them do you discuss product upgrades with? Very, very important a question that you need to ask. And then the last one would then be, for every 10 people you assist, how many of them, a simple question, do you remember their names and details? Remember earlier on, like on this slide here, let me go here. The very first thing here, I said, personalize the patient experience. One quick and immediate way for you to personalize the experience is by learning people's names. The impact that it has when someone comes to you for the very first time today, and when they come and get their glasses, you remember their names, or a staff member of yours remembers their names, that Mr. So-and-so or Mrs. So-and-so came. It's so impactful. You have no idea how people appreciate that. So those are the three polls that we just wanted to do with you guys. And as soon as you're ready to share the results, you can just go ahead. I'm going to continue.
Yeah. So looking at your first question in terms of how many patients or people went ahead with your recommendation, the maximum reply is 1 to 3. 40% of them voted that 1 to 3 of their patients went ahead with what they recommended. And
sure. That is very low. That is very low.
Yeah, but the rest are more than 4. So 36%, 4 to 6, and 24% would be more than 6. So 60-40.
Okay. All right. The next one.
And the second poll, which was about the upgrade of products. So we again have about 20% less than 3. And the rest, 70% more than 3 to 4 people who went ahead with their recommendation of their products.
Perfect.
Maximum being 4 to 6, about 50%.
Yeah.
And last but not the least, in terms of do they remember their patient's name and details? So there is about 40%, 45% of people, they kind of remember one to 3 or none. That's the least. And about 55% of them remember more than 4 of their people they assist, their names and the details.
Thank you. I see that. Very interesting results.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Thank you very much, everyone, for just answering those questions. Much appreciated. We're going to go through this now. Patient goals, right? So remember, patients have different goals. They've got dry, irritated eyes. They've got uncomfortable vision sitting in front of a computer. They want to wear contact lenses. They struggle to see at night. They want multiple pairs of spectacles. They want eyewear that is trendy, stylish, and fashionable, or they don't want to wear spectacles or contact lenses. So different patients have different goals, right? The question then, what should happen once you have identified patient goals? Remember, this is the first one. Express an understanding of the pain and frustration that a person has in them not being able to achieve that goal. Number 2, remember, an expression of empathy leads them to trust you. If a person feels that, you know what, you understand what they're going through, you get them, you are able to comprehend what they are currently experiencing as a result of them not being able to achieve that goal, it leads them to trust you. Next, always remember this. Patients want to be seen, heard, and understood. So it's not even about you. It's about them feeling like it's about them. So make the whole process make them know that you care about their needs more than anything else. So prioritize them. Don't make it about how great you are, but it has to be about how great they can be as a result of seeing better. Once you have identified the patient's internal problems, let them know that you understand what they are going through and would like to help them resolve it. So once they are trusting you in terms of, yes, you agree with them that this is what is happening with their eyes. Whilst you are busy examining them, doing all the diagnostic procedures, constantly introduce the potential products and management options that will be available that will help them achieve their goals. So don't wait until the end. Start talking about that from the very onset whilst you are communicating with them. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. So show genuine care when you are dealing with someone. And always ask yourself, what do I have in common with this person? And remember earlier on, I said, find out what's important to someone. Once you understand what's important to someone, communicate with them at that level. It will make it easy for them to go with whatever that you're recommending, which is point number 7. Once the patient is persuaded that your brand and them are just alike, that which you are recommending for them, they will go. So when it comes to the previous poll that we just done now in terms of how many people go with what you recommend, you'll find that number increasing. So the best way to increase those numbers is by building trust, establishing trust, because people that if you trust in something, you don't hesitate spending your money on it, especially if that particular brand or company or product has delivered on that which it said it will do. So always remember that. And so you have to really understand, to stand out as a practice, as a brand, there are 4 ways in which you can be able to do that. Show compassion, have clarity, be creative, and be competent. These 4 areas are critical in ensuring that you stand out as an optometric practice. Compassion, clarity, creativity, and competence. I will keep saying this. Anyone can prescribe a pair of spectacles. Anyone can do a pair of do a basic eye examination. How are you developing yourself as an eye care professional? How are you developing your team so that your entire team, when they're dealing with people, are showing compassion? When they're communicating with your patients, they are very clear in their communication. How are you becoming creative in your offering? And most importantly, are you competent in that which you are doing? Those 4 C's will help you stand out immediately within your practice. And so in achieving the goals, always remember you are a guide. You take people on a journey. So think of the journey of a person when they come to your practice, when they're making an appointment, when they're going online. Is there a story behind your brand that people can connect with? So with us as a brand, we did that by writing books. And us writing books, it helped us create a story around our brand, and we take people on a journey. So you are a guide. What journey do you want your patients to go through from the minute they come into the practice to the time they go into the examination room, to the time they're choosing a pair of spectacles, and when they leave? What is that journey like? And that's what the second one here is. You have to show them how they win. So in everything that you do, always communicate how a person is going to experience vision better as a result of what you're recommending. And show genuine care for every single person, not just those with money. Every single person, show genuine care for them. And then deliver on what you promise on. If you say you're going to do this, do it. Don't say it and not deliver on it. Next, keep it simple. In being creative, you don't have to be all over the place. Keep it simple, because people understand simplicity. If they know that I'm going through this, I've got this particular visual problem, and it's going to be sorted out in this manner, and this is what I'm going to experience going forward. That's how it is. Keep it simple. And lastly, always remember that the brands that stand out are those that help people survive and thrive. So what about your brand helps people survive? Is it about the pricing and affordability, the usage and functionality, the accessibility and the convenience, problem solving, or the longevity of your product? Or what about your brand helps people thrive? Is it the visual needs that you're taking care of, the lifestyle requirements that people have, the trends of fashion, the environmental importance that your brand represents? Is it because you are a local brand and they believe in supporting local brands? Or do they have a personal identity with your own brand? So what about your brand helps people survive and thrive? And so always remember that when it comes to achieving patient goals. And the last section, we're almost done. How do you operate on the highest possible level of excellence? Excellence is what sets your business apart from all other businesses. We say here, people cannot buy a product that they do not know exists. So how do you communicate? Here's the thing, people don't care about the product. They care about how they're going to experience the product. So throughout your social media, your websites, everything that you do, you need to communicate how people are going to experience the product. What's going to change as a result of them getting the product that you're recommending. Your communication strategies need to have clear objectives, they need to be measurable, and you have to have a clear target audience that you are targeting. Next, you have to have a distinctive appearance that will get your product noticed and easier for other people to connect with. Have a distinctive appearance about your brand. And here's a question that you have to ask yourself. What do you want the consumer to always remember about your brand? What do you want people to remember about your brand? Whether you're an individual or as a practice. For us personally, when I think about my own personal brand, I'm thinking I want people to remember that I'm the most humble person that you can ever come with. So that's what I'm trying to focus on, that no matter what we have achieved, irrespective of the awards, the accomplishments, the books, the online stuff, whatever that we do is for people to remember us as the most humble person or team that they've ever come across. What do you want people to remember about your brand? Next, know the expectations of every single consumer. If you don't ask people information, feedback, them to review you, and probe them more on what their expectations are, you will struggle to exceed on those expectations. Next, like I said earlier on, always simplify your messaging. And this is across all social media platforms, all forms of communication. And here's the thing that really, really makes your brand operate on a high level of excellence. Your brand has to have an emotional appeal to it. If there's no emotional appeal to it, you're not going to be able to connect. And if you're not connecting, it means you're communicating incorrectly. So is there an emotional appeal in your offering? Always remember that, or ask yourself that question. And you have to position your offering as something that the consumer, the patient, the customer, the client feels that they cannot go without. That's what you need to always remember, is that how do you establish yourself as a business that people cannot go without? And so the best way to do that is to have practice advocates that your business desperately needs. And even before I mention this, here's something that I wanted you guys to remember. The growth potential of acquiring new customers is typically much larger than from improving retention. What do I mean by that? You remember that very first graph that I showed you about referrals? You would see more people, new faces, new patients coming in, far more than you have the opportunity to retain existing ones. So new customers can drive word of mouth more powerful than existing people. So you're not going to get a referral from a person who has been in your practice for the last 10 years. You're going to get a referral from someone who comes to your practice for the very first time and is blown away and amazed by the services that they got, that immediately they're going to go and tell their family, their colleagues, their friends. So always remember that what you do to that first-time visitor speaks more volumes than what you do to that person that has been coming to your practice over the years. But you have to find a balance between retaining the one that has always been in your practice and making sure that you are attracting new ones. And so acquiring new customers is essential, not only to maintain your brand, but to grow it. So reaching out to different types of people on different platforms is very, very important. What you do on Facebook would be different to what you're doing on Instagram, would be different to what you're doing with regards word of mouth and so forth. So always remember that. So your practice, what we mean by practice advocates is that a satisfied patient who feels that every expectation that they had was exceeded leads to them being advocates for your business. They will talk about your business at every opportunity that they have to just tell people about the services that they experience, and they will share it with others. And so be very intentional with regards to the qualities that define your own business and grow that. So if you know that you guys stand out as a business or as a brand because of whatever component, focus on growing that and be intentional about that particular component. And you'll be amazed at how quickly word of mouth will spread within your practice pertaining to that. And as a conclusion, we talk about the red carpet experience as a company. And we say the red carpet experience that you need to have within your practice is based on the following components. Number one, service delivery excellence. Number two, be consumer-centric in your approach, meaning that be patient-focused. Make sure that you focus on value more than anything. You talk value, you provide value, you promote value that people are going to get when they engage your product, your business. Strong leadership. This is something that is very, very important. Without strong leadership, whatever that you do in the business would be fruitless. So strong leadership means that you are taking your team to a whole nother level that they have never been before. And the team will take your practice to a whole nother level that it has never been before. Next, you have to be adaptable as a team or as a business. And then create a working environment that brings out the best out of the team. That is very, very important. You have to have team members that are willing to go the extra mile for every single patient that they are assisting in the practice. And convenience and the ease of access is a critical component now. Make it easy for people to do business with you. Don't make it too difficult for people to do business with you. If you're not innovating, you are slowly going to be lagging behind with regards within your practice. And lastly, have a clear vision on why the team does what it does. And they're going to help you go to a whole nother level altogether. So that's basically it for today. Please do follow different platforms that we have. We run an online CBD platform as well, which is easily accessible. And yeah, those are my social media handles for the company. And my personal social media platforms are there. We share a lot of information will benefit you guys greatly. That's it for today, Fakhruddin.
Yes, so thank you, Obi. I think it was a very informative, I would say, and quite comprehensive one as well. Thank you for sharing that social media handles. I think people can reach out to you if they have any questions, and I think you would definitely be the one, to reply to them and answer their questions as well. Yes, so I'm just gonna put that first question to you across. When
Okay.
it comes to building a brand, what will you do in terms of pushing the brand? What's your take on making the brand more outseen? I mean, you did say that currently in the current scenario, you want that people to go ahead on the internet and have that social media presence. Is there anything you would want to comment on that? Anything more which people should do?
Yes. So you have to be authentic. What I've noticed on social media is that a lot of businesses or a lot of individuals, they just quickly copy what they see other people do, and then they just apply it for their own individual brands without understanding who their target audience is What are they offering that other people are not offering? So if you are a young person under the age of 25, for example, we are all young, but let's say you're under the age of 25, other people could be doing YouTube channels. Why aren't you just doing YouTube differently? Why don't you say a topic of the day? And today you talk about what's involved in the anterior segment. Tomorrow you talk about what's involved in the posterior segment. So what I mean is that make that which you are doing on social media easy for people to connect with you. Don't just copy other brands and think it will just work. With us, I did interviews. So I started interviewing other people who were already doing other things. And my YouTube channel became about the interviews that I was doing with other people. That helped me grow my business or my brand online. On social media, I did not focus on me personally. So every time someone buys a book, I will get them to take pictures and post those on social media. So whatever that you do when it comes to pushing your brand online, find what's unique to you. Do you need to have a T-shirt that's written the funny optometrist, and then on your T-shirt, every time you post something on social media, you are always seen as the funny optometrist or whatever type of brand positioning that you want to do. So with me, I'm known as the guy who writes books. That became our brand positioning. So that's basically what I would recommend, is that find something unique about yourself. If you are into singing, if you are into the gym, if you are into cooking, why can't you position your brand as the cooking optometrist? And you start having a YouTube channel where you're spending 5 minutes cooking something, and that becomes something unique that you do online. I see here, what are your thoughts on doing online advertising? Is it recommended for a new startup to invest in? It's twofold. There are certain times when we have done online advertising, and then there are times when we didn't. And sometimes with the online advertising, it has worked, grown our brand or our post quite a lot, and there are times when it didn't. So for me, you have to then advertise online if you are clear on what your value proposition is. Because you can have online advertising all the time, but if your value proposition is not unique, then it defeats the purpose of the which you are advertising. I've seen brands that don't have that unique value proposition of their own, and they are busy advertising promotions and specials online, and then they don't see the necessary results that they are expecting. And then another brand comes and they are advertising the education that they're giving to people. And all of a sudden, because they're educating the consumer of the patients, that starts growing more than anything else. So yeah, I'm a supporter of online advertising if you are clear on your value proposition. I hope I answered question number one.
Yes, yes. And I think I like your point, the first point, which you mentioned, that people are doing this social media now since they are free. But you have to be unique. People should not copy paste from other people's work and then, show it that it's your work. That's what is happening, I guess, these days as well.
Yeah.
And let's look at one more question. When it
Okay.
comes to reminding patients, like you mentioned that we should get personalized with our patients as well. What do you think should we do in terms of reminding patients? Is it a call or an email? What's your kind of strategy you would apply in reminding the patients? Yeah.
Perfect. So going forward, obviously now you already have those existing. Thank you very much for the question. Great question. In the previous one, great question. You already have existing people that unfortunately you have been mailing or calling or texting. What we would recommend is that download, for example, WhatsApp on your laptop, and then we can do this for you as a company, or you can do it yourself, but have different images which are set templates, infographics that you can develop. if someone is, if it's, it can be an image of someone coming in for a new a follow-up visit to renew their spectacles. You can send that as a WhatsApp image, because I don't know about you, but when I see a call, sometimes I don't answer that call. When I get a mail, it depends on who the mail is from. Sometimes I'm just thinking it's promotions and stuff like that. But when I get a WhatsApp, I will open it up from my phone, right? And if it's an image, I can already see that, oh, this is something different. So you having an image as a recall, as a reminder to a patient that they're due for the contact lens order, they're due for the follow-up visitation to get their eyes examined. That is something that is different and unique. So, and going forward, what I would recommend is that ask every one of your patients how they want or prefer to be communicated with. And someone in the practice needs to keep track on that on the patient file, so that when you are doing recalls, you're not just sending out a general message to the 20 people that you are doing a recall on that day. Because a 30-year-old getting a reminder, how they get a reminder about their appointment or follow-up will be different from how the 50-year-old will want to get a reminder or follow-up. So you have to understand that the different generation types, the Gen X, the millennials, the baby boomers, they all respond differently to the information that they get. So customize it based on your patient's preferred medium of communication. The only way to know that is by asking, what do you prefer, or how do you prefer we communicate with you?
Yeah, and I think this can be a part of the initial steps, what you said, that we are doing a normal history taking with the patient, but it's not that personalized. So we can add that one question on how would you prefer us to be to be contacting you in future, whether it's an email, call, WhatsApp, so it becomes much more convenient for us. And yeah, I think that's a very, very good takeaway, I guess. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. And let's take one more question here. What's your opinion on retaining contact lens customers, as because of the pricing now, the market has been very competitive in terms of online stores and, when it comes to the clinical practice. So because of that, patients normally drop out, or they don't visit the practice to buy contact lenses. They prefer to, buy online. So any takes on that?
This is a very interesting question, because it's also a challenge in South Africa with regards the online selling of contact lenses. Yeah. And for me, it goes back to what I was saying to everyone earlier on in my presentation about the trust. So once you have established trust from the onset, you would want people to be buying the online contact lenses within your own business. So if you have established trust and you show people, especially those first-time contact lens wearers, that this is the journey. Remember earlier on I spoke about the journey that a person is going to go through. So if you show people that, and you show them, you give them confidence that you as a business know what you are doing, you are committed to ensuring that they have got the best vision going forward, and for the next 2 years, this is what the journey will look like. Automatically tell them when they wear contact lenses for the very first time that your orders are going to take place as follows. When we order, we have got a system on our computer that we will automatically send you the reminders. So the mistake that practices make is that they wait for patients to place their contact lens orders. They don't have keep record of, we've got, of the 200 contact lens patients that we have, for example, these are the dates that they place the orders, and these are the dates that the contact lenses should be finishing. So long before, a week before the contact lens order is supposedly supposed to finish, the practice is the one that should already be sending out the message to say, your contact lenses, we're placing an order for you, do you give the go ahead? So it should be the other way. Don't wait for people to be the ones that oh, my contact lenses have finished, I need to place an order. You need to keep a roster or a diary or some form of database that tells you when people make their contact lens orders, when that order needs to be renewed. And the practice should be the one that champions that activity, not waiting for the patient to be the one who's placing that order. So I don't know if I made sense, but you would rather create, if you're having a problem with this in your practice, you would rather create an e-commerce platform on your website so that you establish trust from the onset, so that patients know that it's easy to get them online, but that online access will take place from your practice.
Yeah, I think that's a very interesting point as well. I like the point which you mentioned that have your own database and you remind your customers that their contact lenses are finishing and it's time to order. So in that way, I think in the first few counteractions with your patients, they will start trusting you that, oh, you remember me. Kind of that the wow factor will come from the customers that my eye practitioner is actually remembering that my contact lenses are finishing. So it's
100%.
kind of yeah, it's that's gonna work out well, I guess. That's again a very good takeaway. So instead of the customer contacting you, you as an eye care practitioner must be contacting your customer.
Definitely, definitely.
Yeah. Just one last. This is just a kind of add-on because you did mention that sending a small thank you message to your patients or your customers after the eye care testing, and you did share some example like putting the patient's image and sending them a thank you and all that. Uh,
Yes.
What's your experience? Have you personally done that, and has it been very rewarding? I mean, if people I think some practices do send a thank you message because it's now auto generated, but that customization is the part I like the most. Putting the patient's image or putting something of your practice across and sending them thank you. So, what's your experience?
So this is how we introduce it. Remember, a person comes to the practice for the very first time. When they walk into the practice, you created that wow factor for them. Your team is sharp. They're expectant. You introduced those images within the practice of thank you for choosing us. We are glad you are here. We are super excited to be helping you with your vision. So those small little things that you put up throughout the practice already stick within the consumer's minds, right? That's step number one. Number two, you first then do your examination. People check. You went through the diagnostic procedure. They selected their glasses. At the end, when you see that this person is convinced that they got the best experience they've ever had, then you ask them, sir, ma'am, can we please take a picture of you? We just want to keep it on our file. And that file, it helps us know that you're not just a number to us. We want you to know that when we're looking at your file on our computer, we're not just looking at a number or a name. We want to see the face behind the person. So you introduce it like that. You're not introducing it as, oh, we want to send you a picture. You are telling them that we don't see you as a number. We see you as a human being that we highly value. So we're trying to introduce this thing where we can see people's faces next to their names. Then imagine at the close of business, that person gets a message. They have not even collected their glasses as yet. They just get a message with their image on it that says, thank you for visiting us today. We look forward to give you the best possible vision that you have ever had before. And that is the image of themselves. So we started introducing this during the lockdown, where we were working with practices because for 2 months, practices in South Africa could not operate due to the lockdown. And so we said to them, you've got get access to your computer at the office, and your patients that have been coming and supporting you over the years, send them a message of stay strong, be safe. We can't wait for COVID-19 to be over so that we can continue adding value to you. So that's how it was introduced to the practices that we work with in South Africa. It was just saying to people, hey, we know that you are frustrated because of COVID-19, but we are here for you. So instead of just sending a generic message, it became a personalized message. Does it take time? Yes, because someone in the practice needs to then always take a picture every single time. How many practices, like right now, from the people that joined us today, I see here 41 participants, right? How many people are going to do this? I've done this long enough to know that not everyone is going to go and do this, because you know what? People are making excuses. They're going to say, I don't have time to do that. But those 10 optometric practices that are going to start doing it are going to be blown away by how patients start talking about the experience that they got from that particular practice. And you start seeing the number of new patients increasing. Because when a person is happy with what they got from you, it makes it easy for you to then say, hey, we see that you are happy with what you got there. Do you mind sharing your testimony with your colleagues, your friends, your family, so that they too can experience what we gave you? It becomes easier that way. So we are experiencing massive success with this, with the few practices that we started introducing this to, and we are seeing it being a value add to various practices.
Yeah, so I think again a good take message that don't look at your patients as numbers. Look at them as human beings. I think in our busy schedule we just don't get that into our heads. But now onwards, I guess everybody would make that attempt, that small attempt to change how we look at our patients. So
Yeah.
thank you very much. Thank you very much, Obi, for your very kind, interactive, and energetic presentation, I would say. And
Ah,
I think the
thank you.
chats is filled with thanking you as well. We from the team
Thank you.
OLS thank you as well for your wonderful time, and being a Sunday, a family time, taking the time out in the afternoon. I know it's kind of difficult, but thank you for doing that for us.
Thank you. I really appreciate this. I would love to continue connecting with everyone. Please, let's connect on the different social media platforms so that this is not a once-off thing. We build a continuous relationship going forward, so that we can constantly share ideas, so that we can all be learning from one another going forward. This was absolute fun, and I'm super grateful for people just engaging on this platform. I wish you success on your platform, that this will become one of the biggest optometry platforms like ever globally, and not just for the community in Asia, in India or Malaysia, but that it will grow exponentially, and that the OOLS team just operates at a whole nother level as well. I'm excited, and thank you very much.
Most welcome, and thank you for your kind words. I think you can find Obi on all social medias with his name Obi Malope, and also Vision Straight. So if anybody would like to follow him, visit him on his social media accounts, please do that. And I think he's quite responsive in giving you tips. Share your experience. If you implement any of these ideas into your practice, share it with him, and I think he'll be more than happy to give valuable comments.
Definitely.
Yeah. So yes, to the attendees, we just want to remind you all that we are also in a process to start case presentation series where students, clinicians, optometrists can share their interesting cases, and you would be presenting onto our platform and discuss with others as well. So please log into our website, which is skoptics.org/OOLS, and you can submit your abstract, and the scientific committee would look into it, and we will schedule your presentation. We do have sessions planned for next weekend. Once again, thank you to our speaker. Thank you, Obi, for your wonderful talk and your time. And I'll
Thank
see.
you.
Most welcome. I'll see you all again next week. Until then, stay safe. Bye bye.
Cheers.